Hey, welcome to the Acquirable Podcast. Thanks for taking time with us. We're actually out on the road at the BTF conference, and we are talking to amazing human beings that have had irresistible exits. And we always talk about four things. If you're going to have an irresistible exit, you have to make sure that your efficiencies, financial, culture, and scale is dialed in. And so we love to talk to founders that have spent time on those and had irresistible exits. So, Ron, thanks for taking time with us.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
The pleasure's ours. So Ron, people always think about starting a company, and what they imagine is something you experience, which is an exit, and they think about the incredible yachts and cars and houses and all the things that come along with it. But
Wine
we
rooms.
know, wine rooms, we saw yours, which was fantastic, by the way. But they don't realize all the things it took to get there. And it wasn't always pretty. It wasn't always easy. And talk to us a little bit, pull the layer back just a little bit of what it was actually like to build a company that was irresistible, maybe in some of not the easy times.
Well, I started off with it being just a passion of mine. I think I gravitated to the arts and design, and doing business was just something that I didn't want to work for anybody. So I sort of created my own job.
Yeah.
You know, instead of I'm considered an entrepreneur, I think, but in later years I was. But in the beginning, I just created my own job. And I wanted to build fine furniture. I wanted to photograph.
Wow.
I had different skills I had. But I started my own company, and I didn't have any vision of the yachts or the big house. It was never part of my vision. I just wanted to do what I love to do.
Wow.
And that's how it started. And it evolved because people responded to it.
Wow.
You know?
Talk to me a little bit about when it went from, hey, this is just me being expressive with my creativity, to wait a minute, I actually have a company here. This isn't just the Ron creative show. This is, wait a minute, I've got to hire people. I got to bring people in. How was that transition for you?
It was, well, what happened, what sort of gestated that transition was I cut my hand really badly in a shaper.
Wow.
And for 6 months, I had my hand bandaged, you know, like really badly, you know. And so I hired somebody to be my hands.
Wow.
And he had no skill at all with furniture making, but I trained him right there on the spot. And so next thing you know, I'm discovering that, okay, with an employee, I can multiply my effort. With another employee, I can multiply that effort. And so I saw that that was sort of a transition from being a solo to saying, well, I could multiply my efforts if I have people to work with me.
Yeah.
And then one employee, 2, 3, 4, one client, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
You build a company one client at a time, one employee at a time. You really understand the soul of that. You know what it takes to have an employee's loyalty, what it takes to have a client's loyalty, what it takes to make that work. And that's the magic of doing business.
Yeah.
Now-
You know, it's interesting. I want to say two things real quick. One, I think one of the reasons why companies never scale, you said something that's really, really important, is that I hired him to be my hands. And I think a lot of times in leadership, we're unwilling to give people our hands. We want to control, we want to have our hands on it. We want to control it. And so you never really scale, you never really develop talent, because you never really give somebody the autonomy to be your hands. You had to do that. But what an incredible lesson in leadership of, if you're really going to develop talent, you got to give them your hands. And that's a powerful, powerful statement. But let me ask you this question. What did you find was the secret sauce or the magic to loyalty, both from an employee and a customer?
I think deeply caring. I think the integrity of your agreements, always keeping your word, and showing up and keeping your word, and always putting your client and people around you at or above your own self-interest. So if you care about people, especially your clients, and you show them that you are putting their interest above your own, that you're putting their goals and their interests above your profitability, above what you get, they feel it.
Yeah, they do.
And they feel it, and then you earn a client that way, and they see that you care.
Yeah.
And that you care about what their goals are.
Yeah.
So that was a good lesson for me, is to always hold others at least equal or above my interest.
Yeah.
And it always came back.
Yeah.
Always came back.
And I think that I like what you're saying, because I think that there's a healthy honesty in saying we both have an interest here.
Yeah.
And it's not about this like false humility of, oh, it's all about you, it's not about me. And it's like, no, wait a minute, we are in business and we both have an interest. And if we can find that beautiful tension spot where we're both feeling like we're getting what we wanted, then I think that's an authentic, ongoing partnership.
Yeah, and I used to call that professionalism. So I teach my people, my project managers, and my team that you're out there to do with it and make the client happy, to do whatever it takes to get their goals. But you can put the flag up of you're a professional, so you can rightfully ask for what is fair to you,
That's
to
right.
us.
That's
you
right.
know, that under the guise of a flag of professional. So there's always two things I was teaching. One, how to be a professional at what you do and be honest and integral, but also how to put the client first. So that is a dance between our interest and their interest.
That's good.
And if the balance works, everyone's,
That's right.
And then you develop long-term relationships, and that without long-term relationships, you're a transaction.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I always felt bad for the contractors I worked for because they worked with clients as a transaction.
Right.
They were a one-time thing. I worked on teams of contractors and designers and engineers, and that team would go from one project to another to another. So you had a long-term interest in each other's success.
That's right.
And that was a niche that I found that worked for me.
It's very cool.
An early deal that I did was with a company that built illuminated signage, and the CEO, I remember, of the acquiring company told this story, and he built that company same way that you did, one sign at a time, one project at a time, one relationship and customer at a time. And he told the story of, I don't remember who the customer was, but it was some really big corporate customer, and they did, 3,000 different locations for him in the end. But he said in the early days, sign number 10 through 1,000, the guy, every time he would write him a check, he'd say, son, I'm going to make you rich, but not on this one. Not on this one. I'm going to make you rich over time, but not on this one.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who had a business card that I liked a lot. It said, you don't need to give us all of your projects, just the ones you care about.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Montbleau and Associates was in the end. And when I got to know you, it was a big enterprise, and you had international operations, you had a leadership team, you had some of the biggest projects in the world. I remember touring the Sphere in Las Vegas with you before it opened, and so it's just amazing, I think, for the listeners to hear that origin story. It really was, in your mind, one project, one customer at a time, and it got as big as it did, and the company still is like that.
At one point, I think I was the largest company on the West Coast in my niche, in my industry.
Yeah.
I did the headquarters for Apple, the new headquarters for Apple, all their corporate boardrooms. I did a major part of the Google's new campus, Nvidia, Veritas, Uber, all their campuses.
Yeah.
While I'm doing hotels in Vegas and hotels in LA, so I had quite a mix going on of different.
You did.
And all those projects, I loved the hell out of them. They were so much fun to work on, especially working with the best designers in the world.
Yeah.
That was what really fed my soul. It was working with really good designers and building things that were really beautiful and really, they were beautiful.
Yeah.
And long lasting.
Just for the context of the story, tell us what part you played in those. Was it the craftsman of some of the unique rooms? Was it, walk us through one of the projects just so we can kind of peer into it.
Well, I got to a point in my career where people recognized I had design skills. So when I would promote myself early on in a project as design assist. So I would come out at helping to develop their project, which early on I didn't get paid for that. It was okay. It was like my lost leader where I would spend time developing the designs and with the materials and the scale and proportion. And once I did that process with them, they knew I knew their project.
Yep.
And so I became a preferred person to build it.
Yeah.
Right? And then eventually I became, I was doing design build where I was on the design team being compensated for design.
Wow.
So that was a good combination for me. I never was the designer because I didn't want that responsibility.
Yeah.
I wanted to assist bringing their designs to reality.
Yeah.
And one of the companies I really enjoyed working for was Google, because they had all these young designers who had crazy ideas, things that have never been done before, and they'd throw out these concepts, and I had to figure out how to make them real.
Wow.
In stone and glass and wood and fabrics and lighting, and they were zany, really zany, and fun.
I bet.
Fun. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
That is fun.
Yeah.
And it's, I think for me, when I got to know you again, you had a real enterprise. It was a large business, and it was so hard for everyone around the table to believe that in your heart you were an artist, because we looked around and thought, well, bullshit, Ron, you built this big company. You're a businessman. For me, what convinced me was when you told me what your job was before being a woodworker down on the docks in San Diego at the ballet. Just tell that story just quickly, as much or as little as you want to share.
Okay, well, the first part of my career, I wanted to be a National Geographic photographer.
Wow.
Right? Who wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
In my mind. And so I went to photography school in Boston, went to UMass Boston, then I went to New England School of Photography. And when I was in school, I started working for the Boston Ballet Company as their staff photographer. And so I did a period of time where I'd travel with the ballet, do all the portfolios for the dancers.
Wow.
And I had fun doing that. And then my assistant, who was carrying my cameras with the ballet, ended up becoming the manager for Billy Joel, Gordon Lightfoot, Harry Chapin.
Wow.
And so he called me up and said, I want you to work with me in New York as a photographer for Billy Joel. I'd like you to do Life on the Road with Billy Joel. So I got a gig with Billy for 3 months touring the East Coast in Canada as his photographer, doing documentary stuff.
Right.
Life on the road and also on stage. But, so that was fun. That was the fun part. But
So fun.
that lasted for a little while. Then I was always looking for the next thing. What am I going to do next?
Yeah.
And I wasn't looking at settling into any one career. And then I started building furniture as a hobby.
In Boston?
No, in Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah, in Boulder.
Yep.
And I just fell in love. I had a restaurant in Boulder for a while.
Yep.
I just fell in love with furniture making.
Wow.
It just was something very soulful about it.
Yeah.
And I started building pieces for galleries. I mean, there were pieces that art pieces.
Yeah.
And then I slowly, I came to San Diego.
Yep.
And I went down to the docks and started knocking on boats and said, who needs woodworking in these yachts? And
Get out of here.
And they said, oh yeah, go ahead. Next thing you know, I became known as a furniture maker on these yachts, doing the yacht consoles, the interiors. And then I started working on their homes and their offices. And then there you go.
Wow. That's incredible.
What a story.
It's a great reminder, I think, that when you apply passion in direction, great things can happen. I think often people are looking for the big score or what's going to make me money. But when you truly apply passion and direction, and of course effort and excellence, amazing things begin to happen. So Ron, we talk a lot about what makes a company healthy. And I want to spend a little bit of time just talking about what makes an organization healthy. And maybe, Josh, you can start off talking a little bit about some of our first two core principles.
Yeah, so the first two that we focus on are efficiencies and financials, things that you and I have talked a lot about in your company specifically, not things that are intuitive when you're coming at it from a craftsman's perspective or in kind of like a design and a heart for art and things like that. But you learned them and you did a great job at them. And you did it really through having strong leaders around you. So I just want you to talk about what you learned around first the financials part of the company and how you had to manage that. And you've been through Equality of Earnings. You've been through the ringer. We went through it together. Just talk about that and what you learned there around the financials piece.
Well, I always that piece of the puzzle was always something that I was least interested in. I was more interested in the customer relation, client. The relationship between myself and my employees, my vendors, my clients. That I was like the middle of the wheel between all those relationships, and that was what fed me. The financial part, I would, in the early years, many of the years, I just asked my staff, just tell me whether the arrow is pointing up or the arrow is pointing down. Are we improving? Are we making headway? Are we profitable or are we not? And I could tell, I knew where the arrow was going to be. I could just feel it. I could could feel the company. We're profitable. I can feel when we're not. I just knew that granular.
Yeah.
And so it ended up I needed to, at some point, to get better at understanding the financials and having a financial dashboard given to me every Monday morning where I could see the indicators and see where there could be a problem in the machine, in the system. So I went after system problems instead of human error problems. I accepted that human error was going to be part of our process because we're design builders. And so, but I was looking for problems that were system problems. Where are the bottlenecks? Where's the money, not flowing?
Yeah.
Are we, where are the issues, and going after those?
That's big.
And I did have a really good team, a good staff. So I think one of the key things I could tell somebody who's starting a business is to develop a good team. Develop a good team. You need a really good lawyer. You need a really good CPA. You need a really good broker like you. You need a team around you that can watch over you. And so I could focus on what I thought was the most important thing, which was the projects, the clients, and achieving the goals that they had. And so that was my focus. And also developing talent. I think that's very important. And one role that I really enjoyed over many years, was developing the talent.
Yeah.
I trained most of the people that work for me. And at one point I started hiring people from other companies, but that was really a transition for me because I had a team that was all trained by me. And when the new people came in, then was a big battle in our company about what's the right way of doing this thing. This is the Montbleau way or that way, right?
Yeah.
And so we had to bring in new ideas, but they resisted it for a while. But I trained most people that work with me, and that worked for me. But bringing in good people good advisors was really important. So I trusted them.
Yeah.
And I accepted that I wasn't going to know business at the level that I say the new owners of my company, they manage it through numbers. I never did that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and you say you never did that, but you did get Monday morning reports, and you established some discipline around that, and you learned how to look for systems problems, and that's huge. That's huge for entrepreneurs to learn how to do that, and you did it. And I think something I was always impressed by with you is just the strength of the leaders around, and your unwillingness to compromise on having A players at the table in the room. You were always steadfast about that. Everyone on the team was an A player. Advisors, lawyers, everyone around was an A player. And I remember I learned the reason for that in a meeting one time where you were, and I don't remember the details of this, but you had something you wanted, and you had everyone around the table telling you couldn't get it. And I remember you stood up and you said, hey, you all are the smartest people in the world. I'm going to leave, and I'll come back, and you're going to tell me how you're going to do it. And you left, and I stayed, and I remember everybody going, damn. All right, how are we going to do it? Let's figure it out. And it was a couple hours, and we figured it out. And I just watched that behavior, and I think that I think it speaks to something that you aren't mentioning, which is just you hired great people and you trusted them, and you looked for systems problems. And
How did you manage efficiencies when you start to get into a global footprint, huge projects? I mean, was it just a sense that you knew what a project should cost? Was it? I'm sure, obviously hiring the right people, but what is some of the things you learned along the way about how to run an efficient project, under budget and on time, versus product creep, project creep, all those kind of things? Like, how did you run an efficient project?
Well, I guess it starts from the fact that I started off as small as I did, and so I would sell the project, I would design it, I would draw it, I would detail it, I would cut list it, I would cut it, I would assemble it, I would sand it, I would finish it,
Wow.
I would deliver it, I'd install it.
Yeah.
And I knew every step of the process so well that as I grew the company, I never lost the sense of what exactly it takes to do that thing. Now, the company evolved over time, and we had different products. Like we went from furniture making into architectural woodwork to like doing ballrooms for hotels, and we built hospitals,
Wow.
interiors of hospitals. We did a lot of work for Pfizer building their labs. So
Wow.
we tried different products, mixes. I thought that was important that we had we had a lot of some variety of markets, and variety of markets not only for product type but for geography. And so I think I had some just common sense.
Yeah.
I think a lot of business is common sense.
I do too. Yep.
And it's a lot of it's intuitive, or you run it from your gut. And so I didn't. Oh, but one thing I must say, I had business coaches. I reached out for coaching. I had 2 coaches in my life, one for like 10 years and one for another 10 years.
Wow.
And I could call them up and say, what can I do? What should I do here? I was part of a business roundtable.
Sure.
And that was a factor that I want to give credit to that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very important for a business person, especially one who's not steeped in. I never did a business course.
Right.
That you have people around you as advisors who have no agenda besides your well-being. So the business roundtables were really valuable.
Yeah.
So I did that for 2 stints of time.
Okay.
So
Very cool.
So did I answer your question?
Yeah. When you look back at, we talk a lot about culture, and obviously you built a great culture. What do you think are some of the keys to building a great culture? Especially, I'm assuming the company got to a place where there was times where you really couldn't see some of the folks that work for you as much as you wanted to, or transfer knowledge to them as much as you wanted. How did you create the culture and keep it strong?
Well, for one thing, caring about people. 2, I always made sure that everybody has some training. Everyone was always in training of some kind. So there was always, I thought, value added to my employees, because I always had, each one of them had a training program for what they needed to learn next. So they felt a sense of advancement. I think also growing a company, I always like growing a company. Growing a company creates opportunity. So
That's right.
the important for people that work with you see opportunity. They see that they aren't just in a job, they're going to be doing that one thing forever.
Yeah.
They see that if they do that job well and they raise their hand and say, I want to advance, I would be right there to go, you have initiative, you want to advance, I clear the path.
Yeah.
So they always saw that I cared about their development.
Yep.
And so I had, my key team was with me for 30 years.
Wow.
And then their kids came to work for me.
Really?
And so, but to give people a sense of, like, my skill, I think, in the world was perceiving opportunity. I have an antenna for perceiving opportunity. And I think poverty is the perception of no opportunity.
That's right. That's right.
So that I thought, well, I needed to show them, I needed to give them that same sense. So instead of managing them, I showed them opportunity, and I let them grow into their job, and they evolved over time. And if somebody had an initiative to do, oh, I want to do that, I go, all right, I'm there for you.
So did you ever feel in the ebbs and flows of the business that, like, a ceiling, or we can't grow anymore, or this, I just don't know how I'm going to grow this anymore? Was your mindset always just a growth mindset of there's so much opportunity, it's just...
Well, sales drives growth.
Right.
Right. I mean, one thing that everyone who has a company needs to know, and if they don't know it, they'll learn it pretty quick.
Yeah.
That sales drives
That's
growth.
growth.
Yep.
So I would always sell beyond what we could do. I'd sell into a market that we aren't able to do at this moment in time, or I'll take on projects that are too above our ability, and then grow into them.
Yep.
And buy machinery and bring in
Wow.
and just adapt to, like, all right, we just sold all the labs for Pfizer in La Jolla. We have no idea how to build a lab.
Right.
So we're going to learn.
Wow.
We're going to learn quick.
Now, I think this is an interesting, how did you win that deal? I'm sure you were competing against people that had done a lot of labs. Yeah. So how did you win it?
Relationships.
They just trusted you. You just went in there and...
I just said, I can do this.
Yep.
You sure, Ron? Yeah, I can do this.
Yeah. The full,
People
the full
knew
faith.
my track
backing.
record was that if I say I can do something, I do it. I do
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and I love the story too of when you went into Las Vegas, and over time now you've built a lot of beautiful spaces in Vegas, but there was a time where you'd never been there, and there was one, was it the Grand in San Diego? That was like your showpiece,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
brought all the people from Vegas to show them, look, we've done something very ornate and similar to what you want.
Yeah.
Was that, you called it, what'd you call the Grand? Your calling card? Was that what you called it? You told me that.
I mean, it was my, it was a show place for my company.
Yeah.
I built the interior of the Grand Del Mar, and that was a important project for my company, because that was the first big project of that size, and I use it as a stepping stone into Vegas. But going to Vegas, I would knock on the doors and they would slam them in my face, saying, "We don't know who you are.
Right.
Get out of here. We don't know you. Just go away." And but I just kept persistence. Another thing important about growing a company is being persistent. Not ever taking no for an answer.
So how did you break in there? I mean, did you literally just go knock on the project lead's door and say, "I'm Ron," and just,
Hey,
Again,
nice to meet you.
You need me. You
Interesting.
need me.
Yeah.
So just
Was there like an initial relationship that
No,
pulled you there?
no,
Really?
no. It took me about 2 years before they went, "All right, give this guy something to do."
and would you just drive up there or call?
I'll
or
fly in and just say, I know you need me on this project. No, we don't. Go away. And so after a while, finally they went, "All right."
Wow.
Yeah, well, I
Wow.
learned that from one of the
Yeah.
people that came to work for me. It was a little Mexican guy who came to my shop door and said, "Mister, I want to work for you." And I said, "Do you have any skills?" He says, "No." I said, "Go away." He came back every day for about 2 weeks.
No way.
And there was Paco. I said, I finally went, "All right, give this guy something to do." And he became one of my best finishers
Wow.
over time.
Wow.
And so I went, "All right, that's the attitude, the persistence." And so once you go to somebody enough times to say, "I want to work with you,"
Yep.
you will wear them down.
You will wear them down.
Yeah.
You
They'll
will
give
wear
you
them
something.
down.
Yeah. And then and next thing you know, you're in.
Yeah.
So the problem with young people today, I think, is that they don't have that persistence thing.
No.
They get told no and they walk away.
Yeah.
I even told young people coming to my door, "Look, tell you what, I'm not going to hire you today, but you don't have what I need today.
Yeah.
But if you come back 2 or 3 more times, there's a good chance I might hire you."
Wow.
And I'll never see them again.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's become my filter too. If I have somebody reaching out that I know is interested in being in this industry or something like that, and there's lots of them, my filter has become I need to hear from them 4 or 5 times, and if I do, then I'm going to talk to them,
Shows tenacity.
and it filters most out.
Yeah.
Most out.
Most
and
out.
I even tell them, "Look, no only means not now."
That's right.
So that's
That's
what I
right.
learned about no. It means
Yep.
not now.
That's right.
You
Yeah, that's good. No is never final.
And I went up to Silicon Valley and knocked on doors up there, and I had one estimator for a big company up there. I kept calling him, Joe, this guy Joe. I kept calling him and visiting him and calling him and visiting him. Finally, he said, "Montbleau, you're like the flea on the back of a dog. Will you leave me alone?" I said, "Then give me the job." He says, "Okay." And that was my first big job with Google.
No way.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So that was. I don't like to do that with people to wear them down. I'd rather have a. But
sometimes you've got to.
You got to start.
You got to start somewhere.
Once I wear you down once, it'll never happen again. Just let me get in.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you, now that you've sold the company, do you miss the hustle and the grind? Or was that?
I missed the design meetings. I missed the collaboration with people. I missed that part of it. I don't miss solving the same problems over and over and over again.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's problems inherent in design build, and you solve them and they come back.
Yeah.
And you solve them and they come back, and you set up policies and structures and systems to solve that problem, and then you turn around 4 months later, and it's like, all right, it's here again.
It's here again.
We're going to go over this one again.
Yeah.
Call them, and I don't miss that part.
Yep.
I don't miss the part where I got to educate clients that when they stall the project, it has an effect
Right.
on everyone.
Everyone, yeah.
Now we understand that happens, but understand on my side of it.
Yeah.
I set aside production
Exactly.
for a project, and they stall it 6 months. Now I got to find another way to fill that spot.
Right, exactly.
So I think the backlog problems are the ones I don't miss, because even when you're on vacation and everything's going fine, you're always worried about the next quarter or the second quarter of next year.
Yeah.
That was the payroll wasn't as much of a challenge for me. I had a good line of credit.
Yep.
It was the backlog issue always, because you had to have enough work
Right.
for your team for a year.
Exactly.
You have 200 people. They have mortgages. They have car payments. They have kids. You can't just lay them off.
Right.
You got to keep them working.
Right.
But not too much work.
No,
You can't put them on overtime.
It's a
constantly.
constant thing you had to think about.
Yeah, the balance
Yeah.
of how much fuel do I give this team, and what's too little, what's too much.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't control that flow. I mean,
Right.
It's a dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a part I don't miss.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I do miss the going into a meeting at Apple or Google or in Vegas and saying, all right, what are we building today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have fun.
Yeah. Did we talk through scale? I had a question just
Not
now.
yet, no.
Yeah. You mentioned the 200 people and you just made an offhand comment about that. That's a lot of people. That is more people than you can know, right? And we talked about that a little bit earlier, but just talk about how you achieved that scale. And it was one at a time, but there had to be a break point where you said, we can't keep doing it the same way.
Yeah,
What did that look like
I had to
for you?
rely on others. I had to rely on my people below me to choose their own teams. So they had, I had a say in all new hires, if I had time. But the people that were going to rely on their teams, like the project managers and the department managers and the different people I've empowered to be in those roles, I allowed them the opportunity to choose their own team.
Did you feel like your role at some point was like you chose your team and then that was the extent then of what you could do? And
I did choose about 30 people.
Okay, you choose about 30. The rest of them are
And then I have to let those people choose their teams.
okay.
And there's always a degree of failure in that. And I chose some people that I was dead wrong about.
Sure.
I thought that, well, first off, I had an assumption that people are honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people are good. They're going to work hard. They're honest. Yeah. Terrible assumption.
My experience in my industry being, craftsmanship and, that people are, majority people are honest, and they're going to be reliable. But I discovered that that's not the case always. And I got fooled a couple times by putting people in positions of power in the company that did some serious damage.
Yeah.
But so there is some things you got to watch out for. I learned the hard way about what to watch out for with especially at the upper management level.
Yeah.
People can.
I remember.
Yeah, you remember those?
Yep.
I had to do a lot of talking about how that happened.
Yep.
They questioned my ability to be a good judge of character if I hired a con man as my president.
Yeah. Yeah. Not ideal.
That's why it's called a con man.
Exactly.
Because he's good at it.
Yeah.
Were you always the primary deal flow mechanism, or did you bring in a sales team, and was it?
I made everybody in sales. Everybody was in sales.
Yep.
But I was the one that went in to make the deals. Yeah. And
Yep.
I did have people who could do that, but I always did the final.
Yeah.
So
You
that
flew
was
in at the end for everything with the bottle of wine or something like that.
Yeah.
Did that ever?
not everything, but anything significant.
Did you ever see that ability that you had, unique ability? Did you ever see that start to show up in other people on the leadership team where they could?
Yeah. And it all comes from just being present.
Yeah.
I used to have a little ticket, a little raffle ticket that said, must be present to win. And I put that up on the board, and everybody looked at it. That must be present to win. So you get to meet your client. You go out there and know who you're working with. You're a project manager. You got to know your counterpart. You're an estimator. You need to know your counterpart. You got to be present. You got to be involved. You can't just do it. Well, there are some companies, I guess, who just are low bidders, and they work as that. That's their strength, is that they're cheap.
Sure.
Our approach was value. So we wanted to be the best perceived value. And in order to do that, you had to have a quality, emphasis on quality, not on price, emphasis on schedule, that you meet a schedule and you do something that, what I used to call the real thing. What's the real thing?
Yeah.
We had so many conversations in my team about what are we doing? Is it the real thing? That was my, and
cool.
you know it when it's the real thing.
Yeah, you know it, yeah.
And you know it when it's not,
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
So how to discern that, how to teach that.
That's good.
So
as we finish up our time here, when was the moment where you were like, I want to sell this company? And why?
Well, I think it became a issue that age. I knew that I'd go into boardrooms up in Silicon Valley, and I'd look around the boardroom, and I'd be giving us a presentation, and I'd say my company's 40 years old, And I look around the table and no one's 40 years old yet.
Yeah.
and then I start getting people calling me going, the team here wants to know why Ron's in this meeting. Is there something wrong?
Oh,
Like you shouldn't still be in there.
I just wanted to sell. I just wanted to show my interest.
Yeah.
And they thought, well, something must be wrong for Ron to be here because he must perceive a problem. No. I'm just. So
Interesting.
I realized that I need to send my 40-year-olds in.
Yeah.
You know, and I can go into the upper management and say what, but stay away from those. So I aged out.
Yeah, you aged out.
I aged
You
out.
knew it was time.
And also, it was time for me to do some traveling. I like traveling, and
Yeah.
so I thought maybe this is my time to travel now.
Wow.
But now I do have a consulting company. I'm still on the board of directors of my company. I still have ownership, and so I still have some foot in some hand in it.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy that.
That's cool.
So
Well, we always say this, and it is so true. Congratulations on your life and your journey. And very rarely does anybody build something that somebody else will buy, because it really has to be exceptional. It's one thing to build something that pays bills, that gives folks a great quality of life. It's a whole nother story when you've built something that somebody wants to acquire. And so congratulations to you, my friend, and what a life well lived.
Thank you.
And congratulations to both of you for being able to do the transaction together, and what a great story to tell.
okay, have I mentioned that I probably couldn't have reached the end game without Josh?
Tell me why.
appreciate that.
He, first of all, I had no experience in the process, and so he was a good coach and guide all the way through. He knew the balance between how hard to push and when to lay back and let the process happen. There's a dance to that.
There is.
There's a
Nuance.
Yeah.
yeah, it's very, and the one thing or another can turn somebody off. You know, it doesn't take much to have someone get turned off, and then that's it, right?
That's it.
So to not let that happen and to keep that tone of this is a deal worth doing all around the table, not
Yeah.
only from the side of the buyer, but from my side.
Yeah, sure.
And so that's a skill. It's sort of you have to be a finance guy and a counselor.
Yeah.
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 I
Well,
appreciate you saying that, and I told you this before, and I mean it the same as I did the first time. I feel like a craftsman just like you are. My craft happens to be M&A, but watching you taught me how to build a company.
Really?
Yeah, and that was
Wow.
the first time I think I really watched somebody and learned that from them. And there's a lot of things that you taught me that I take, and it's part of stone now, and the way that I think it's ingrained in. I really learned a lot of that from you in our relationship. So I appreciate everything about that.
Thank you. I thank you. Appreciate that.
well, guys, we appreciate your time, Ron. Thanks for just sharing your story. What a wonderful story it is, and thanks for having us to your home this morning to see just the reward of loving people well, loving relationships well, loving your craft, and certainly the best is yet to come for all of us. There's no doubt about
Yeah,
it.
agreed.
So